Here is what Huda Abuarquob, a Palestinian feminist and peace activist, regional director of the Alliance for Middle East Peace, and Ksenia Svetlova, former member of Knesset, journalist, author, and Middle East peace analyst, had to say about what opportunities they see in the current situation. While constantly seeking a path forward, both Huda and Ksenia were also very realistic. Here they are.
Ksenia, you are a member of a number of think tanks, and I'm going to ask you to put your policy hat on and maybe go back to probably what is the basic and general question, which is, do you see a possible peace process under current circumstances? Is it at all possible? Is there a regional path forward? And if not, what I think is what is sort of the common wisdom nowadays, what steps can the side take to preserve the chances for a two-state resolution in the future? Can, or as you said before, maybe should not take or should stop taking?
Okay. What I think that you cannot, in any circumstances, you cannot jump from 0 to 100. It's impossible when you're driving the car, and it's also impossible when you're trying to reignite the stalled peace process. So we had a stalemate in the negotiations with the Palestinians for the last 7 years. 7 years there was nothing, and also in the years that prior 2014, 13, it was a very tiresome process that also didn't bring a lot of fruit. So you cannot just say, well, okay, so tomorrow we are going to meet again and sit at the negotiation table. I think that what you need to do first is to create the right atmosphere. A right atmosphere is being built with the goodwill steps, with a positive, forward thinking that can create a more, healthy atmosphere. Also in the respective societies that were completely discouraged by what had happened in the last years. And in Israel specifically, people just lost interest entirely in all of that. So I think that no leadership, specifically not Netanyahu leadership, but also not the alternative leadership that can be created in Israel, will be able to just, announce that, well, now we are moving to this back to the negotiation track. So I think first the government need not to do something. Okay, so it needs to show that yes, it is not interested in creating more settlements. It is not interested in achieving this, fait accompli situation on the ground. And then you can also move to perhaps some modest, rapprochement, bilateral meetings that didn't happen also for quite a long time. And from that, well, if it will happen, we already achieved, I think, about, maybe about 40% of it. Another important thing, you asked about regional initiatives. Well, I think that regional initiative, there is actually no such thing as regional initiative. You can have a quiet support and also the important economic support, financial support of some Arab states. You can have the states more supportive of the two-state solution and negotiation course than before, but you cannot replace the bilateral dynamic between Israel and the Palestinians by any regional, track that usually, but it ends with the realization that the Israelis and the Palestinians need to talk to each other. This is what happened before in 2007, 2008, when the Arab League reaffirmed the Arab Peace Initiative. And I believe that this is exactly what's going to happen now. So it's very good that we have now better relations with some Arab countries. I think it is healthy, to create this climate of understanding and cooperation. I think it's beneficial, but it will ever not replace the, the track, direct track of, Palestinians versus the Israelis, with some help from the American administration, of course.
So looking at a possible peace process, Huda, I want to ask you whether you see any new energy coming out of the upcoming elections that are going to take place at the end of May, whether the results of the Israeli elections are signaling anything new or different to the Palestinian society or leadership, given the enlarged role that now perhaps the Islamic party in Israel is playing. I mean, how do you see these things affecting a possible process?
I see no hope in the political systems, both in Israel and Palestine. I don't have hopes also about changing the dynamics via elections. Elections in the states work every 4 years to change the political system. In Israel and Palestine, it's almost impossible to do that, because it seems that we only produce the same kind of people. And if, as a social justice activist, as a Palestinian civil society activist, I have hope only on people. And this is where I see the opportunity. We need to find a multi-track approach for the Palestinian-Israeli conflict in terms of negotiations and even the brokers. I think the American administration has the right will now to do it. I don't assume that they have the time or the energy to put it now towards Israel and Palestine. We are at the bottom part of the list. The EU is also very busy with Corona. We are living in Corona times, and we have to think of what are the priorities of these administrations and leadership. But multi-track is the only way to carry the burden and work with the Israelis and Palestinians. It doesn't happen if the Palestinians and Israelis will not make sure that they want the negotiation process to resume for peace agreement. And the source of hope also comes from people. Still, the polling happens in Palestine and Israel shows a majority of Palestinians and Israelis interested in the two-state solution and a peace process. The unfortunate reality that we need to deal with is that our leaders are not there yet. That's the problem. And so that's why we need a multi-track approach from bottom up and from up bottom.
Thank you so much,